Welcome to Digital Dominators, the podcast that helps small business owners grow their confidence, sharpen their digital skills, and actually enjoy showing up online. I'm Sue Jung, your host, tech coach, and digital cheerleader, and every week I chat with brilliant experts to bring you practical tips, smart strategies, and the tools and tech to make business easier. From social media marketing to websites, content to confidence, AI to automation, we're breaking it down into simple steps you can actually use. If you're ready to make things simpler and more successful in your digital world, you're in the right place. Let's get stuck in. Welcome back to Digital Dominators, the podcast where we unpack the tools, trends, and tactics that help you build a smarter, more scalable business in the digital age. Today's episode is for every business owner who's juggling a dozen different marketing tools and wondering why none of them seem to be working together. You've got Shopify, you've got Klaviyo, you've got Meta Ads, Google Analytics, social content, and maybe even a chatbot or two. But instead of one seamless customer journey, you've got chaos. Andrew George is here to help you fix that. Andrew is an omnichannel retention strategist who helps product-based brands turn messy, disconnected marketing into streamlined, profitable systems. With deep expertise in Shopify, Klaviyo, and Smart AI, he shows brands how to connect their tech stack, personalize their customer experience, and increase retention without burning out or chasing every shiny tool. His philosophy is simple. Great marketing isn't about doing more. It's about doing the right things in the right order, so every step of the journey feels personal, efficient, and profitable. In this episode, we're talking about how to stop scattering your efforts, start mapping your customer journey, and build systems that turn one-time buyers into lifelong fans. So let's get into it. Hi, Andrew.
Hello, I'm super excited to be here.
I'm so excited that you're here as well. I've been saying for a couple of months now, I need to get you on the podcast. And here you are. So I'm very excited because I've not spoken to anyone about what this is yet. So I'm excited about going into kind of what this omnipresence, omni-strategy looks like. But before we do that, you give me your intro in your own words. Tell us how you got to being working with businesses about their retention strategy and in marketing in general, Andrew.
Yeah, so back in 2017, when I graduated university, I couldn't get a job. Everyone was looking for experience, and so I couldn't get a job because I had experience. I couldn't get experience because I didn't have a job. So instead of kind of crying and losing my confidence as I was doing, I thought, I'm going to go out and make my own experience. I'm not just going to sit and let that happen. So I got into self-employment. I started my own product-based business and did that for a few years. And then when COVID came, I got this rush of orders, which was great. But the Royal Mail just became completely unreliable, and it still is. And I ended up, it was Christmas, and which should be nice and fun, Christmas. But I had just an inbox full of angry people blaming me for not getting things on time. The Royal Mail weren't picking stuff up, stuff was delayed. And I just had this one day where I kind of broke down. It was like, okay, I can't keep doing this. I actually forgot about this. I had an incident once where I had 100 parcels and had to take them to the post office. And there was a queue of people because of me, and they lost. I had to shut the post office for the day because I just overwhelmed them. And that was when I was like, okay, I need to change something. And so I thought, people have been asking me for help with tech. Like, tech is my thing. I love all the tech stuff. And I was using email marketing. I was doing really well with it. And people were like, okay, Andrew, help me with this. And I thought, well, if I'm helping people with this anyway, why don't I go into that a little bit more, make that a bigger part of my business? And I really love doing that. And I don't have to rely on anyone like the Royal Mail anymore. And that's what I do now.
I love that you started your business based upon a problem, trying to solve that problem that you experienced yourself. So you'll know so well how much the frustrations of why people need this setup that you're going to talk to us about in this podcast as well. So before I go into that though, tell me a little bit about what your product business was. What was it that you were selling?
Yeah, it was personalized gifts. So we used machine embroidery, and we personalized stuff, and I did gifts. I did some uniforms for people. I worked with some brands, and they worked with influencers, and we did packages for their campaigns. We did a lot of stuff. It was really creative. And it still exists for me to use as kind of a test bed, but it's definitely a lot quieter because there's not as much effort going into marketing that anymore.
And I think that the focus that you have on actually building the systems for people is actually sounding like a little bit more of where you're getting to use your experience and your, not just your experience, your expertise, but what you've learned as well throughout that journey of doing it. So let's talk about that a little bit more. When we say the word omnipresence, can you break that down for people so that they understand what that means? Because people might understand what that is.
Yeah. So the way I kind of use it is it's being across multiple channels. So things like your email, WhatsApp, your social presence, customer chat, anything like that. Integrating them together. Because a lot of people are like, okay, I am on all of these things, but they're all on different platforms. They don't talk to each other. And everything's kind of siloed, and it starts to be a lot of repetition. And you're forcing people to get like a email message when they would rather have the WhatsApp, they would rather have the SMS. And so integrating all these things, making them all point to the same places, all kind of makes sense together. If you have a sale, you're sending the people who like email a link to that sale, and you're sending the people who like SMS a link to that email. And there's not the repetition across both platforms. You're speaking to them where they want to be.
That's really fascinating because most of us experience, and again, I think we should emphasize here, we're talking quite a lot about product-based businesses here rather than kind of service-based businesses. The people that are going online to find something that they want to buy, being a product rather than something to help them to be able to do something. So people are going on and they're maybe going online looking through a shop to see if they want to buy it. They click to buy, they add it to cart, and then they either need to add in their bank details to pay or add in their shipping address, and then they're usually sent an email confirmation. But what you're saying is that actually we're starting with the person and what journey that they want to take when they're receiving that communication from you. Is that right?
Yeah.
Or
So
not you, but the business in that way.
yeah, when someone sign up, I'm not a big fan of asking for too many details up front because people just won't give them. So you normally have the email address to start, and that's where you're talking. But once we have that, we can either, whether it's through that email, if you set up like things like pop-ups in the right way on your site, the first time they come, they have the email address, but you have it set where, okay, if I already have that, then it's a different form that says, oh, do you want an extra 10% off or a free gift? Give me your mobile number this time. We start to do that, and we may contact them on both channels to start with, but we start to see, okay, what are they opening? Where are they clicking links, and develop channel affinity is what Claudio call it. So it's the channel that they actually respond to. And then we go, okay, if that's where they're responding, that's where we're going to actually communicate with them, because that's where they've shown an actual interest.
So you're using the data from the information that's coming through the channel and that's set up, rather than specifically asking them up front, do you want to be emailed? Do you want to receive a text message? How do you want to receive communication from us? You're using the data from the platform to work that out. Okay, that's really interesting, because this is where a lot of businesses, I think, don't always focus on the tools and the information that the tools can give you, as well as how you can set them up to make them work for each business.
Yeah, and I think the ask for all the data up front is harder. So like it would be easy to say, okay, give me your email and phone number and all this stuff and ask for it up front might be the easy way to get started. But every time you add another question, like half the people drop off. So I'm always like, okay, let's get the minimum data up front and build it over time. And that first party data that you actually own, because the more data privacy laws, cookies and things becoming harder, the more data we can gather, the better. Just a lot of businesses will do that, and they'll just give you like, well, here's a form. What's your first name, last name, address, email address, SMS, like, and I just don't want to fill it out. So if we can gather it over time, I'm willing to like, because some people have a high lifetime value when it comes to product brands. I want to say, okay, let's play the long game, and over time we can gather a little bit more each time. If I have your email address, I can communicate with you. If you then make a purchase, now I have your physical address. If you signed up for SMS updates on Shopify, I now have your phone number. And then maybe down the line, I send an email, oh, what's your birthday? Because we have a birthday club. And we just gather more data over time that we can then use to target them better.
I like that, because rather than people not knowing that their data is being used to target them via things like Meta ads, Google ads, and how people interact in the online world, it's you're asking them up front to exchange that via something in exchange, which is what really marketing is all about, really. And that's a really nice way to do it. But I suppose it's making sure that the tools are set up to be able to do that as well. So talk us a little bit about the tools that you are using and recommend for businesses to be able to create an omnipresence journey like that.
Yeah, I've tried everything. I've started on, it was MailChimp that everyone used when we started, and then a kind of name in the e-com industry had their own email platform, which I was actually the person who made the knowledge base for it. But the more I learned about email, I was like, the more I realized this sucks. And because I kind of became a little bit known to those people though. And people were like, Andrew, what would you actually recommend? And that's where I started to get into Klaviyo, and having used WooCommerce and Shopify, just the kind of people, because it was handmade businesses that I was kind of in a group of people doing. And a lot of them are older, tech-averse, great at knitting or crochet or something, but when you get into like marketing and tech, it becomes overwhelming. So I was like, okay, WooCommerce is great, and a lot of people were being told to use that, but people just don't understand it. And anytime anything kind of breaks, I need an actual developer tech person to fix this. Yeah. So I was like, okay, Shopify makes this really simple. If you used Etsy, the back end is fairly similar. And then Klaviyo is my favorite platform. I don't think there's anything that quite talks to e-commerce platforms quite as well. And that has all these tools. They started off email, they had SMS, and then they've kind of really gone into this push for Omnichannel, and they have a bunch of tools that are doing this for you automatically. Like, it isn't a really big, complicated setup. They really can do this for you. And I think it makes it much easier. Like, there's like most platforms, if they have the ability to communicate via like text or email, you can't set this up. Like, I use a high level in my own business. I could probably do it over there if I really wanted to, but there's going to be a bit more manual stuff. Klaviyo makes that really easy because it has such a push for this. And it will just, if you go into someone's profile, it will say channel affinity, email or SMS or WhatsApp.
That's amazing. I always thought that Klaviyo was just a payment gateway tool, but it sounds like for the business owner, it gives a lot more structure. So you said it does email marketing, it does SMS.
Email marketing,
is that right?
SMS, WhatsApp. You can do customer hubs, which is like a section in Shopify that comes up on the side that you can personalize what market messages are there. It also lets them engage in customer support. So you have the customer support can be through Klaviyo. It also collects reviews for you. So it'll watch and see either so many days or someone's orders, or it can actually watch the tracking number and make sure someone actually has the thing before you ask them for a review, which is a really big annoy. Like, if most people are not, I've gotten that email like, review your item. Like, I haven't even got it. And I think being able to do that really makes a big difference. So it's more of like a CRM than just an email marketing tool like a lot of the other ones.
Great.
There's just so much in there. And I think having it all in one platform makes it so much easier to not create a bit of a mess. Like, a lot of people are like, well, this platform says email, this one's best for SMS, but then you have no idea who's received what and if it's starting to overlap. It makes sense.
Shopify has got such a great setup, specifically as a user, so somebody that buys products. I love the fact that it just knows, because my email address is on that account, what things are expected, so that I'll get the notification on my app through the phone saying that something's arrived and I've not used, and it's just doing it automatically based upon the email address. And that's clever marketing, that's clever data, because then you're targeted with, which I got earlier on today, my dog walk, you like these brands, you might like these, you buy from this, you might like these. So it's doing a bit of marketing and promotion on your behalf as well for businesses, which is, again, a great feature of a tool.
And it's collecting that data. Even if someone has purchased like 5 times in the past without opting in to email updates, once they do, that data is already there. Because even if they aren't a profile that you can market to, they will show up in Klaviyo as a profile, and that data is all in there. So you can see more easily, okay, this isn't just a new person on my list. This person is a frequent customer, this is their lifetime value, and they come in from that first email with that data. So you're not like, oh, hey, here's what I do and who we are, because they know that. You can go, okay, I'm going to put them into a different sequence from like, okay, let's focus on next order, making them a more loyal customer. Just having all these pieces of data, like, you know what they've ordered. And if you know, and I think if you have a lot of contacts, there is some more data you can get here. So for a lot of people, you do have to kind of learn this a bit more manually. But you can say, okay, if you have some sort of replenishable product and you know someone needs it every 30 days, you can say, okay, on the 25th day, I'm going to email them, hey, time to restock. And just there's a whole bunch of things that open up when you can see this data in your marketing platforms.
I think that's one thing that a lot of service businesses are struggling with, is that ability to have a one-stop shop almost for where their customers are going to be able to, or they're going to be able to get that data to understand what their customers need in that way. And I know it's very different. Products are, we've got this amount of products that we need to sell. We need to sell those products, and this is how we can continue that journey of people continuously buying from us. So it is very different for service-based businesses than it is for product-based businesses. So I just wanted to address that there as well, in case people have jumped forward and said, oh, actually, I don't know how I can get this set up. Because really, how do people get started with this if they've already got a setup already? So maybe they've got a website, maybe they're posting on social channels, and they're thinking, I want to make more money. I want to have things working for me. I want to have these tools doing that. What's a good way for them to get started with this? Is it moving to Shopify, changing their website over from kind of maybe a Woo setup on WordPress because it was free to set up? Do they need to then think about, okay, how do we set that up in Shopify? What is a starting step for people?
If you're happy with WooCommerce integrates completely with Klaviyo as well. If you ever move, all of that data stays there. So you have the previous WooCommerce data and the Shopify data, and it will just merge it into the brand's profile and say, here's their orders on WooCommerce, here they're on Shopify. I used to have a group of people I worked with, and every single one ended up moving to Shopify once we actually showed them it. So if you're not happy with WooCommerce, I do think Shopify is a great alternative. If you are more comfortable with tech and want to do some more advanced things, WooCommerce does have more options there without having to pay as much. Shopify, a lot of functionality you unlock through plugins, and they all have associated costs. So if you're happy there, that's fine. If you don't have any email marketing set up, Klaviyo is a great place to start. You can start for free. I can't remember the exact numbers, but you can get a lot. I think it might be 1,000 people on your list, and send her many emails. And it just has the Klaviyo logo at the bottom of the email, which isn't that big a deal. So you don't have to have a big budget, especially if you're starting out. If you've got like 5 people on that list, it doesn't have to cost you any money yet. And then you just, over time, as things grow, like, okay, we'll move up to I think $15, the cheapest plan. You say, okay, down the line, maybe I'm ready to start doing SMS. Maybe I'm ready to start doing these things. But you can just start with it as a kind of more basic email marketing tool. And just having a few things like a welcome flow, abandoned carts, are really easy to do. And that's where Klaviyo pays for itself. If you can get a decent chunk of those abandoned carts back, you're going to be making far more than you should be spending on email marketing.
I think that's what businesses forget, though, is that whatever tool that they're going to use, paying for a tool gives you more functionality. But then if the tool can do other functions for you, which if we think about marketing being around 30% of our business, if that is a cost and a time perspective, if a tool can do that, then there's a huge benefit of paying more for a tool, because it gives you back time and it gives you more data that you can utilize more effectively.
Yeah. Just being able to use all the data in place. I think like people will come to me like, oh, Klaviyo is quite expensive. I'm considering this other thing, but it doesn't do this and it doesn't do this and it doesn't do this. I'm like, well, you're going to lose more than you're paying extra for Klaviyo. As long as you're getting people through, you are getting abandoned carts. And if you email those people, a certain percentage will go on to buy. And like, that's guaranteed. It's a numbers game. And if you integrate with a tool that doesn't let you do that, that's a massive revenue stream gone. Abandoned carts should probably take up a decent percentage of your income each month, because so many people are abandoning their carts. And that's just one part. Obviously, if we're like having the channel affinity, it's like, okay, you're just an email for it. Now you're also an SMS. And a whole chunk of your customers are actually going to start clicking your links now. And it can help you another way. There's a bunch of integration with Klaviyo. You can use the segments in your Klaviyo account to create custom audiences for Facebook ads. So even if they don't open their emails or SMS, you can get them on the Facebook ad if that's where they respond. Like, there's so many things it opens up that if you do go to a cheaper tool that loses that functionality, there's a lot of money on the table that you're cutting yourself off from.
As a creator, I used to spend hours re-recording voiceovers to get the perfect tone. But finding reliable voice talent, booking studio time, and editing takes forever, and it can break the bank. That's why I recommend 11 Labs. It generates ultra-realistic AI voices and even clones your own, all in seconds. With natural-sounding speech, multilingual support, and seamless text-to-speech conversion, 11 Labs powers podcasts, audiobooks, training modules, and more. No mic required. Ready to level up your audio? Try it free today at allmylink.me/TC11labs and bring your scripts to life with 11 Labs.
I mean, again, I wish I could set that up for us as a service business, because it would just save so much time on the other side, because there is a lot of using the data here to be able to make the data work for your business, because that's what we talk about, right? At Technology Coaching, it's based upon 6 skills of innovation, web presence, social media marketing, cybersecurity, AI, automation, and data, because they work all together. They don't work individually. And that's really what is being represented here with this omnichannel approach. The marketing for the product is using an effective web presence tool to be able to do that. It's using the data that's being fed from that tool and the customers' details that are already there and existing via their email address and whatever they purchased before. And then it's got the built-in credibility because it's got a high value status tool, if that makes sense. It's a well-known tool. It's most businesses, product-based businesses, are using it. So it's got immediate credibility. So it hits that kind of cyber side of protecting businesses. And then it's using a lot of AI algorithms to be able to manage the data so that you can market. It's amazing. Love it. Okay. So businesses are going, okay, I can maybe think about moving over to Shopify. Now, what type of businesses would you think this would be a good strategy for? So you said you've worked a lot with like the craft side, is that right? But what other types of businesses would you recommend using this setup? So if you're a startup and you're thinking about how you're going to go to market, something like that, what kind of businesses is this for?
I think anything that's replenishable, like there's a lot of options open up there because you can tell when people are about to repurchase and target them there. So anything like the beauty kind of skincare stuff, if you're doing food things, if you're doing like things like candles and stuff, they run out eventually. Anything that you have to restock over time is a really great option. Things like clothing is a really great one because you can start to, and this all depends on how many customers you have, but you can really start to kind of gather what people like. So like the frequent customers also bought is what you often see on sites. And you can go, okay, this person with a similar profile does this, and Klaviyo does all its back-end magic and goes, okay, when I'm in an email, instead of me like choosing, here are the 4 things on sale, I can create an element that swaps in the 4 things that person is most likely to buy. So you're showing up. You can have it where it's things they've looked at in the past. So if you're like, okay, I want to target them with stuff that they're probably about to buy, there's more stuff like that. If anything so like clothes, it has a tool where it can guess the gender. So like, okay, I can easily cut off what they're most what they're not likely to buy. Because I get emails all the time and I'm like, that's a dress. I'm not going to wear that. I'm like, I'm sure some people will, but I'm like, I would rather I had the chance to opt out of this. Mm-hmm. And you can also always give the example of like, if you're a pet shop, dogs or cats, you can just have a link in the email where they click dogs, it adds into the dog segment, and then they never get sent an offer on cat food. Like kind of like any business that sells products is probably a good fit.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think you've really hit the nail on the head there, because I love the fact that it's almost like a customizable element that you can add to that email, isn't it? That's specific for that customer and their purchase history and their purchase journey as well. Love it. Absolutely love it. I'm bought in. If I'm going to be a product-based business, I know what my setup is going to be for it. Because I think a lot of people don't think about the full customer journey. They think, oh, I need to put this up online. I need to sell it. So it's all the pre-stuff to be able to get that sale. But what do they do after that sale, right? After that product. And you mentioned a lot there about add to cart, and people get worried about add to cart as well because they've not bought. But actually, add to cart, people are busy. People are doing stuff. They're looking at things when they've got 5 minutes, they add it to cart and they'll go back later on. So that add to cart follow-up sequence sounds really, really useful as well. But then let's talk a little bit about this kind of customer lifetime value and kind of what that means and that retention model that you talk about as well.
Yeah, I think knowing like how long it takes someone to buy is really good because some like the people like to keep their list clean, and I often tell people to do this. But like because I had the gift shop, some people bought once a year. They bought every Christmas, and if I'm saying okay, after 6 months, if they haven't purchased or opened an email, delete them off my list, I'm gonna lose a bunch of people I can talk to. So really getting to know your business. There are some businesses where people buy often, and you do want a shorter window for that, and going in and seeing okay, how often do people purchase? What is that average cart value? And over time, what is the lifetime value of that person? And if you have enough profiles in Klaviyo, it does do that for you. If you have less, it's a little bit manual, and there is some data available in Shopify as well. But working that out, how often people buy, how much they buy, and you can also work on, if you know that, you can also work on improving it. It's like, how often do I want to target them to try and get them to make a purchase? Or, okay, they often spend £30 of their time. How can I get that to 35? How can I get that to 40? And there's a bunch of strategies you can use that. But just knowing that, I think a lot of businesses don't sit down and look at the data. Even if you aren't using a tool, even if you're like, okay, this sounds too long to get down to, just sitting down in the back end of Shopify or WooCommerce that you're using and going, okay. And then you just do some simple math with a calculator and work out this. Like it should be easy to find in most platforms. I think just knowing that lets you do a lot of stuff. If you're like, okay, if you don't already do free delivery, if you're like, people spend £4 or £5 and spend 50, make free delivery when you spend 50, and then people will add the extra £5 to avoid having to pay for delivery. I've done it a million times.
Yeah, me too. I will always try and add the more to get free delivery because I'm like, why am I paying £6 for delivery when I can get a £6 product for, even though I might not need that right now, but that's the mentality that I go in, that buyer's mindset when I go to try and purchase something. So that is a real, like those specific details of looking at the data and from what the tool can give you really help you to understand. And that's marketing at its core, right? That's marketing and data, right? Using those two things together to be able to work that out, but also understanding customer and buyer behavior as well, which is a kind of marketing tool as well. So do you feel that these tools really help you to understand your customer more as well?
Yeah, I can see the data as a whole and just say, like, okay, there's averages and things. But if I go into my profiles and click on any random person, I can see, are they opening emails? How often are they purchasing? Have things been delivered? Are they opted into this? Like I can, if I send out an email that is cats or dogs, I can see, okay, they have a cat. I can tell when their birthdays are, like the more data I gather, the more I can click on this person and have a whole kind of profile of them. Compared to a lot of email platforms, it's like, okay, I can see their email address and that's about it. You can really build up a profile of an individual person. And I know that might sound a little bit creepy to some people, but I always like, most of it's consent. Like obviously things like they're browsing and stuff that maybe don't know, but I'm still saying, do you want emails? Do you want SMS? Like, do you want to give me your birthday? It's never gathered kind of in a sneaky hacker way.
Like Meta Meta just uses our data without us knowing, that we've all opted in without us knowing because we don't read the terms and conditions. So that's it really. But no, I like the fact that when you mentioned earlier, it's using the functionality of the tool to say, okay, if you would like to receive text updates, then give us your text, give us your mobile number, and you'll get 10% off or 25% or a free gift with your next offer. Because it is, people are then agreeing to that in some sort of way, or that they are agreeing to it to be able to get that offer, but also then you're able to use it to talk to them in the way that they want to be spoken to, which I love. I love as the tool. So what is it that you do to be able to help businesses then? So tell us a little bit about your services, Andrew.
Yeah. So I really can do like any part of this. And I think because there's so much, and like sometimes I think there's bits that I don't know well enough. Like I will learn anything. But we can work on your emails. I have people that I just kind of write their emails and make sure they're good. But we can also work on things like the automation, setting up all these different triggers and then the emails that happen, all abandoned cart, anniversaries, like there's a million different flows in there. And that's kind of what Klaviyo was initially and where I've done a lot of work around. Things like using Klaviyo reviews to increase your social proof on your site and making sure that people can see, okay, this is legit, this product is good. Using things like the customer hub to be able to help people get support better. But you can also completely customize that where they see special offers targeted to them. We can work on strategy for gathering information, like seeing the pop-up, what happens? Do we have a strategy where we, over time, have multiple pop-ups where we have the behavior set in Klaviyo? That's okay. If they've never visited before, ask for the email. If they're already a profile in Klaviyo, then ask for phone number or birthday or whatever. There's just so many options. I kind of, like, especially I would like to focus. I want to do all. We could work on all of this. Or
you need it all set
part.
up. Actually, that might not be the case for all businesses, but I get that. I'm like this. Yes, you can do it this way, do this, because it sounds like you've got this goal to be able to just help businesses make more money by using the tools more effectively, really, and helping them get that set up, which I think anybody that's working with supporting businesses with their tech set up, I think really has to have that strategy and that mindset to kind of work with them. So amazing. So I want to talk a little bit about this kind of lead gen as well. So we think a lot about lead gen as getting new customers in and that kind of top of funnel. And we use things like strategies like Meta ads to be able to do that, Google ads. And we're going to see this more throughout 2026 of ChatGPT having advertising and other AI tools having that built-in advertising as well. So how do people shift their focus away from that lead gen mindset to more of a retention mindset when it comes to product-based businesses?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of focus on like Facebook ads, and I get people in and they make a purchase, and a lot of people just end it there when there are a bunch of people who, as long as you've done everything right, know you, like you, trust you, and I can't remember the exact numbers, but many times more likely to make another purchase than someone who's cold and never bought me again. And not enough businesses will go, okay, let's start targeting them. So a lot of businesses will have this giant list of people they aren't doing anything with, and just getting them into a platform like Klaviyo and starting to get them into sequences, getting them into flows, gathering that data on them is such an important part. And not only will it make you more money, it's going to save you money. It's obviously also much cheaper to like use a tool like Klaviyo than it is Facebook ads. And I think cost is a bit where people get caught up. Like they'll spend a lot on ads where like, Klaviyo is scary. And especially if you use every single tool in Klaviyo, which don't start off with, but it's like emails one cost, then the SMS has costs. And then if you it does start to add up because they charge extra for each extra thing you're using. And obviously as the more profiles you have in, that cost goes up. But you should always be making more. I'm not just telling you to use a tech tool to earn Klaviyo more money. Their affiliate thing just pays pennies. I'm really, really not out to make any money from your increasing your subscription costs. So I think doing it gradually. Don't come out the gate going, okay, I need every single Klaviyo tool and to spend $1,000 a month on it, whatever it would be. You can start with the free plan or like the $15 a month, I think is the lowest one, and be on that for as long as you need to. But just
I think till you get that data, isn't it? Getting the data from the tool.
Yeah, the data and the numbers, because it's like, all of business is kind of a numbers game. But to be able to target enough people and know that you can most likely get some sort of sales, you need a few hundred people on your list, probably, for the frequency of e-commerce. If you're more service-based, you can have a few less because you're not doing quite as much repurchase every single month or so often. But yeah, just focusing on building a list of purchasers and of people who are subscribed and starting to gather that data and just increasing things over time instead of trying to come straight out the gate with a million different things, because it does get complicated and a little hard to be like, okay, where's this and what flow do I have? And people start to be like, to look at these things and like, why does this thing not work anymore? It's because there's some broken link or something. Like, it's a lot to manage if you're just starting out and don't know what you're doing. So just starting off simple and increasing things over time and not seeing it as a cost, as just an extra cost. It's something that should give more money out than it puts in. So should ads, but I think that's a lot harder for a lot of people to make it where they're getting more money out than they put in. Email should be easier to do that with, especially if you have a list of people who have bought in the past. And if you aren't scamming them, you're actually doing things well and people are happy with you, that should be much easier to get cash from.
Yeah, because it's building that trust with them via the email and the SMS, rather than them being targeted via an ad on the Meta platform. And what people don't realize, I'm going to talk a little bit about Meta ads here, is that you need data and you need effective data to be able to get a good return on investment on your ads. And that only comes from not only the content that you're putting out, but the data that you can provide to the platform to be able to help it understand your audience more effectively. So I take it with the tools, Shopify, Klaviyo, the other ones that you mentioned throughout this podcast, is that they have the ability to feed that data back to Meta so that you can use that data effectively to get better ad results on the platform.
Yeah, any list or segment that you have set up in Klaviyo can go back to Meta as a custom audience.
Oh, great.
And
Easy.
You can use that straight in there, yeah.
Oh, amazing. That's so much easier. It just sounds like a really simplified setup and process for kind of product-based businesses to use. And it sounds like you've really nailed that journey for business owners to understand how to get that set up for them.
Yeah, and it doesn't need to be difficult. I think a lot of people hear all the things I say you can do and find it a little bit overwhelming. But it doesn't need to be. I managed to get like the most tech-averse people to do this. I think it's some of the clients I've had in the past, and especially when we're in the handmade and focused, and it's like people who are retired. Even if I used to have like a little coaching program, we had office hours. Even if I had to sit with someone and be like, okay, go to the top right corner, click this button, do this. Like, I think anyone can do it. And like through whether it's services or like courses or whatever it is, there's a way for everyone to learn it and understand it. And as much as I can do it for you, I think knowing how to go in there and see at least some of that data for yourself and understand it, knowing your business and knowing the numbers and seeing the data is super important, no matter how like big you or small you are and who's doing it for you. I think if it's your business, you need to really be on top of that. And I just think having tools like this make it much easier. I think Shopify is going to give you more of the financial data, Klaviyo like the quantitative data, and Klaviyo's got much more of that marketing data. You can get more of the qualitative stuff in there and really start to understand and build up a profile. And you can also, I mean, obviously you'd have to anonymize it and be careful. But you can also take that data and be like, okay, ChatGPT, tell me these things. If you're really into the AI and stuff, has a MCP server thing, you can do things through that in Klaviyo and get into things. That's something I'd like to understand, but I just don't have time for. But there
multi-channel protocol is MCP, right?
Yeah.
Just if I remember, multi-channel protocol, I think if MCP, we'll need to look that up. If anyone is listening or watching, write it in the comments.
Yeah, I've seen people like you can connect it like into Claude and you can ask Claude questions. You can get it to update profile. Like you can do things, but there's definitely data concerns there. So be careful.
Be careful. Make sure your policies are in place and make sure that you're holding your data effectively and being cyber aware. And I think the responsibility is a lot on the tools, but we know that human behavior is always the weak point when it comes to cyber awareness. But data is super important for any business, no matter if you're a product or a service-based business. And this setup with the tools looks like it's really the best functionality for a kind of product-based product-based business. So, Andrew, people can start with you via a kind of a blueprint that you've got. Is that right? So you've got, and this will be shared in the show notes and around wherever you're listening or watching this. And they can get there by going to mrandrewgeorge.com/retention. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that blueprint that you've got for people?
Yeah, so you want to get started on this. Download the blueprint. It has step-by-step things to implement, and they aren't the big complicated things I talk about. They are really simple. Things like setting up your abandoned cart. Like it goes through step-by-step what you need to do to start having an omnichannel retention strategy. So not only getting people on, but keeping them as customers for the long term and building loyal fans that will stay with you and keep making repeat purchases for as long as you want them to.
Great. So that'll be around the show notes. Please go and have a check of that blueprint so that you can get started and make your marketing more easier for your business. But what I like to do at the end of every podcast is just kind of ask you for 3 tips that you can share with the listeners or the viewers on how they can have better approaches to their marketing, being more personalized, profitable, and stop it being so scattered.
Yeah, I think the first one is to find the platforms that work for you. A lot of people are tempted by all sorts of things, someone telling you to use it, costs and things. But if like of WooCommerce or Shopify, or there are a few others out there that I've seen people use, and most of them will integrate with Klaviyo in some way. But find the one that actually works for you. And then obviously I'm going to tell you to use Klaviyo. But if you hate that for whatever reason, just pick the one that works for you. But if you're feeling swayed to pick a particular one because so-and-so uses it, or people are like, oh, it's the best, ignore it. Just pick the thing that works for you. I think number 2 is to start off small and implement things over time. Stick to the free plan. Just send some emails. If it's to 10 people, just build up that marketing muscle and the being able to write effective emails and use the little dribs and drabs of data you have to make that better over time. And then number 3 would be to set up automation from the get-go. Things like a welcome sequence, an abandoned cart. You can also have abandoned browse, even if they don't end up in the cart. If they just click through a few items, you can target them that way. Setting up a few of those flows are complete non-negotiables for me, and they will increase your revenue right from the get-go. As long as you have people coming through your site, you have abandoned carts and you can recover a percentage of them.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast, Andrew. And if you are a product-based business, go and check out Andrew's content, go and see what he's sharing and listen and watching what he could do to be able to help your business and your setup. You having the right tools for the job, really, isn't it? Having the right tools and the skills to be able to get you there. All right. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This has been fun.
Okay, good. Right, see you in the next one.
Thanks for listening to Digital Dominators. I hope today's episode gave you something practical, or at least a bit of a boost to keep things going in this mad digital world. If you're enjoying the podcast, hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming up. There's loads more good stuff on the way and some brilliant guests lined up too. And if you fancy going a bit deeper, come and join the Digital Dominators community. It's totally free and it's where I share bonus trainings, podcast extras and tools to help you build confidence with your digital skills. You'll also get access to my social media prompt calendar so you can finally stop staring at that blank screen wondering what to post. Just head to technologycoachingonline.com/digitaldominators to get started. Alright, that's it from me just now. Stay curious, keep showing up, and I'll catch you in the next one.